Today on Capitol Hill, there was a vote to essentially establish same-sex marriage by a vote of 267 to 157. It passed. I don't understand this bill. I don't know why it was necessary. Let's bring in Congressman Greg Steube, Republican of Florida. Welcome back, Congressman. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
You bet. So look, the Supreme Court ratified, legalized same-sex marriage in America. Why did they try to pass this? What were they thinking?
Well, in Clarence Thomas' dissent on the Roe v. Wade overturn, there was dicta that talked about these other decisions that were made by the Supreme Court that violate states' rights, and gay marriage was one of them. And a great example is Florida. In Florida, we have in the Constitution, it says that marriage is between a man and a woman. The majority of Floridians have approved that. There's like 35 states that have language either in their constitution or in state law that has been approved by voters. The majority of those states believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. And so the U.S. Supreme Court making a decision that violates that, Clarence Thomas was simply putting that information in his concurring opinion in Roe v. Wade being overturned. And here we are today where the Democrats feel like we're going to take this issue on.
All right. So we'll get to the Democrats, and they're grasping right now for any issue that they think will save them. But a lot of states have a lot of laws. I mean, there are laws against everything, quite frankly. There are laws against adultery. There are laws, regarding animals that most of them aren't, a lot of them aren't enforced. Could you really, if you were a same-sex couple, I don't live in Florida, could a same-sex couple get married in Florida until today?
They could after the Supreme Court decision that legalized it nationwide and that forced clerk of courts who weren't willing to do it, and a lot of elected officials who weren't willing to do it. There was a lot of lawsuits that forced it to happen. So it's recognized now in every state in the country because of a U.S. Supreme Court decision that overruled all of the states' decisions on that issue. And then this bill is just codifying at the federal level, because we only had a Supreme Court decision, that the law of the land is that same-sex couples can marry.
All right. So I get it. I just wanted to make sure. So this is strictly a political thing. This was unnecessary. This is essentially unnecessary. I know Thomas made some noise in the opinion, but this was done why?
This was done to distract from the things that are going on in our country that really matter to everyday Americans. Everyday Americans are affected by inflation every time they go to the supermarket, every time they go anywhere to purchase goods. 95% of Americans drive not an electric vehicle, so they're affected every time they fill up their vehicle. All of the issues, the border crisis, the invasion we have on our southern border, what's happening in Ukraine, what happened in Afghanistan, we still have American citizens there. They're trying to distract from all of these things, and they think that the overturning of Roe v. Wade and abortion in our country and gay marriage is what's going to bring them back and get their majority back in November.
It's pretty wild. Did you hear what Barack Obama said about gay marriage? I mean, what would happen to him, say, if he worked at Netflix and he had this view today? And that's not very long ago in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, amazing how times have changed even in the Democratic Party. I mean, we had, I think it was 47 Republicans who voted for this bill. And there's a litany list of issues legally, constitutionally, and morally as to why you wouldn't vote for this. So the changing of the demographics and the positions of our party and the country is pretty astronomical in a short period of time.
Let me ask you this, though. Is there it could be a trap. I mean, in 2004, a trap in the other way. I think Gavin Newsom, he was mayor of San Francisco, he really pushed gay marriage in San Francisco, and it became a big issue in that election. Could it, in the reverse way, have an effect? I know there are more important issues going around right now, but people have won elections before with cheap gimmicks.
Well, I think the Democrats think that's the case, which is why they're bringing this up, which is why they're bringing up assault bans tomorrow, which is why we did a bill last week for the abolishment of abortion legal up to the time of the birthday of the child, or legalizing abortion up to the child's birthday. It's to distract from all of the things that are happening in our country that affect everyday Americans. I do not believe that these issues will turn the sway of the voters in November, because they are affected in their everyday lives because of all the bad bad decisions that this administration has made, and a Democratic House, Democratic Senate, and a Democratic White House has made that affects their lives every day, from inflation to the border to crime, you name it. It's not going the direction that Americans feel that our country should be going.
Congressman Greg Steube, military veteran, Army veteran who served in Iraq. Hey, can I ask you something? Do you think about your service in Iraq often? Does it come to you? Is it the kind of thing you think about every day, once a week? Could months go by? How did you process it, and what role does it play in your life right now, if you don't mind my asking?
My military service affected my decision to run for Congress. I actually met with a former Special Forces guy who did over 20 years in Special Forces that is now working to help children affected by PTSD, and his child that was affected by PTSD, and the things that military veterans go through with traumatic brain injuries. It affects my decisions every single day. It affects my outlook on this country and what we should be focused on, which should be America first and not Afghanistan first, and Europe first, and Saudi Arabia first, and begging Saudi Arabia for oil. It should be America first policies to protect the safety and the sanctity of American people and not everybody else in our country. And that's what our focus should be up here in Congress.
All right. Great stuff. Congressman Greg Steube, appreciate it so much. Republican from Florida. To be continued, sir. All the best. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.